Stretching Yourself Without the Stress, Part 1.
So, joy of joys on MicroBizMatters Day. I'm accompanied by somebody who helped keep me going through the end of 2020 and is one of the most inspirational people I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. And I hope he'll be my friend for as many years as I've got left. And that is Mr. Ian Farrar. And
what an introduction. I'll take that, my friend.
All right. You're very welcome, because you're fantastic. And I really do mean that. I think it's been, there have been very few people at the end of 2020 that were actually put their head above the parapet and actually really tried to help micro business owners. And we're not going to talk about that in this interview, but I'll always appreciate it. And I'm sure that the founders of Excluded UK will really appreciate it as well, because one of I think your best interviews that you did was with the founder, Annika from Excluded UK, of course, and we are raising money on MicroBizMatters Day for Excluded UK to put mental health support. Well, today we're going to talk about actually moving from stress to kind of success and how we handle changes, really. Ian has got a background whereby, would I be right in saying that about 2015 you decided to give up the corporate life and various things? And tell us just, we want to be positive and we want to give tips to other business owners of how they handle the difficult situations and get the most out of life and their business. That's what we're all about on My Business Day. But just tell us about the kind of what made you decide that you were living a life that actually wasn't doing you any good at all, and that you might need to change direction into the world of self-employment and running your own business. Tell us about the turning point.
I'll try and squeeze this quite succinctly. So I fired myself, Tony. I fired myself. Corporate position, board member of a really successful business, and in terms of fulfillment, I was fulfilled in terms of succession of the business, the clients, the staff, the morale, and everything. But I was pushing way too hard. I didn't learn my lesson, and I burnt out a few times because I'm one of these people who just go 100 miles an hour at everything. I've got shiny thing syndrome. I want to do everything. I don't say no to anything. And I was running around the world. I was popping beta blockers for fun because I was just up a height. And I just realized that I couldn't keep doing it. It was a young man's game, Tony. So when I was 40, I fired myself. And I came home and said to my wife, I'm done, pet. And she said, yeah, just get yourself a beer and, sit in the garden. I went, no, I'm done. I've walked out. And she said, what? We've got a big mortgage, got 2 kids, But hey, listen, the trinkets and the cars and the watches, and I didn't need any of them. I cut my cloth accordingly. I've never worked as hard. I've never had as little money, but I've never been as happy, Tony.
Great. What kind of, because there's going to be a lot of people out there at the moment that are thinking about 2021. They're going to be thinking, a small change might not be the thing to do. I might need to make a big change in my life in order to find happiness and fulfillment and the important things in life. What actually triggered you into deciding what you were next going to do? And I'm sure that wasn't a next day you decided this will be what I do. What actually was the process of your thinking and getting well again, I suppose, as well, that allowed you to actually say, well, this is how I've got to earn a living? Because, the facts are people can't just be idle kind of thing. We might like to be, but we do have to earn some money for our families and friends and various things like that. So just tell us about the process that got you into deciding what you were going to do with the rest of your life and earning some money in your own business.
It's an interesting one because I had 7 months off, Tony.
7 months, yeah.
I really lost my mojo, and I mean really lost it. I had literally no interest anymore.
Yeah.
I just got to the point where nothing was fulfilling us. I was just working too hard, not enjoying it at all. And it's enjoyment that I wanted. We spend so much of our time at work.
Yeah.
And that day when you're staring into your takeaway on a Sunday evening and you're thinking, I've got to go to work on that Monday.
Yeah.
And that is the time to leave.
Yes.
And over a period of time, I kind of said, you're not enjoying this. You're dreading going to work. You're living for the weekend. And of course, the weekend would come. I'd go to the pub. I'd get tanked up, right? I'd moan to the lads. And then the Sunday, rinse and repeat. And I thought, I can't keep doing that.
Yeah.
So I quit. And the process of starting again was 7 months. And that 7 months looked like mowing the lawn, washing the cars, doing the school runs, tidying the loft, painting the doors, going to the gym and walking and, just trying to get my mojo back because I hadn't been looking after myself, Tony, at all. No self-care whatsoever. I put the business first, and it actually wasn't my business. It was, a board of directors business, not my own.
Yeah.
And I'll be the master of my own destiny.
Yes.
So I thought, well, if I want a good culture, if I want a good environment, if I want a business that stands for values that I believe in, if I can't find one, then surely I'll have to start one.
Yeah, absolutely. And was there? Did you actually write what was the process? Did you actually just start doing something that you thought that people might like this, or did you actually, write a business plan, or did you talk to a mentor, or how did you get started in controlling your own destiny in your own business?
I think I just had an epiphany. Just of those 7 months, I was thinking about. I was actually slowly healing. So when you break a leg, Tony, right? At 6-7 weeks, you're in a cast, and you're not gonna heal overnight. Now, my heart, my mind, my soul, my whatever needed 7 months to heal.
Yeah.
And I couldn't hurry that healing up. I couldn't fast track it.
Yeah.
It needed what it needed. And when the time come after 6 months, I was ready. I was climbing the walls. I was dead interested to get my teeth into something. And I just popped my head back up again. And a bit like you, Tony, when you took yourself off to Malta with your sabbatical.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a year out for me. Yeah.
Yeah, you take.
And I resigned from everything I'd been doing before when I came back. So yeah.
And I'm sure people said, "What are you doing? What are you doing?"
Yeah.
But it took me that long to heal, and then I was ready. I was dead. So then I just picked up my little black book, rose my head up over the parapet, swam to the shore, if you like, pulled on my suit again, and said, "I'm back."
Yeah, brilliant.
And, I just reached out to a few people and said, "Look, you're past clients of mine. When I was with you, I gave you X, but I tell you what, I think you really needed Y and Z and L and F, and I'd love to be able to give you those things." And then I started delivering those extra bits and bobs, and the company just grew organically. People were asking me, "Could you do this?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can do that. I'll bring somebody in who I know. We can associate and partner up," and the company just grew from there, really.
I like that. Hold that thought for a second, because I think if there are people at the moment that are thinking about what they're actually going to do, don't go into a room for 3 months and write a business plan and all that kind of stuff. Start developing some relationships because the opportunities are more likely to come out of those relationships that you're actually starting to develop, and they'll actually say what they want. It's a bit like I say about, that's the whole point of test trading, isn't it, really, Ian? Is whether you've got a service or whatever, wait till you actually found out what the customers or the clients are actually going to ask you to do and want to do and they want to achieve and things like that. So that's great. So you got well, and then you actually do it. So I'm going to go fast forward. I'm going to take you to the end of 2021, this year that we've actually got going, because one of the most remarkable things about you is that you've got an incredible number of challenges, I would call it, that you're actually working your way through. It's not a bucket list as such, but it's a series of things that and you get fulfillment and you get enjoyment out of these kind of things, but it really does keep you going, doesn't it? So could you tell us about that? So what are you, by the end of 2021, what are you hoping, this will blow people's minds, to have actually challenged yourself to do?
I've always been a fan of challenges, so I'll talk about the podcast. I'll talk about 5 years ago.
Please.
When I started my business, I bang into entrepreneurship and business, and I still am.
Yeah.
And what I do is I pick up books, like your book, Tony. I pick that book up, and I want to learn from stories. We all learn from stories. So I wanted to learn from not someone about the theory, although I do like that kind of stuff. But I love the stories. Okay.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time reading, but then I thought, well, what if I could document my journey? Coming out of the corporate world, breaking then chains, and starting a company. So I literally picked up a microphone and documented what I did.
Yeah.
But I documented it through other people. So I started interviewing people, and before and after the interview, I would just have a couple of minutes preamble talking about what I've been up to, and it's become a bit of a journal. And I've interviewed 200 business leaders across the last 5 years. I was fortunate to interview you a couple of times along that.
That's fantastic.
And learn from each one. So actually, self-indulgently, I'm creating value and content for others out there. But I've spoken to 200 people about business. I've got to have learned something along the way on top of whatever I'd experienced through my working life. So that has been a real passion project for me. Quite often people say, how do you make your money from a podcast? Well, you don't. You make money because you have a podcast. It just gives credibility. It opens up your relationships, your network. So don't try to monetize podcasts. That's what I would say. Just enjoy it, and stuff will come along your way. I mean, in terms of what's come along my way, I've represented the UK at International Podcast Day. I've won awards, Amazon influencers. I've wrote chapters in books in the States. I've been in the States magazines. I was on Vera last year and the year before.
Yes, absolutely. Tell us about that, because people wouldn't know. Yeah, go on. So how did that happen? How did it happen in the first place?
These sliding doors moments, Tony, right? You go somewhere and you meet someone, and then you meet someone, yada, yada. So I was doing a live show in front of an audience, and the lady in the audience said, would you do that for me? So what do you mean? Would you host a show for me if I give you a guest and I'll bring my network to it? I said, yeah, sure. What kind of thing are you into? Business? No. I put supporting artists onto TV and film. So then she said, look, why don't you interview Anne Cleves? She's the author of Vera and Shetland books. So Anne and I did 2 shows at the Tyne Theatre. We packed a Tyne Theatre full of Vera fans, and I interviewed Anne. But Bessie said, look, why don't you, before you interview Anne, get yourself on the Vera set just to be able to see what happens? So she went, look, come in, you'll make a great copper. Of course, I get on the set, and I was a policeman. That was in 2019. And then I get a call during, obviously the pandemic was on, and she went, look, we're filming 2 episodes of Vera in 2020. We need a solicitor. Are you up for it? The only thing is, you've got to get COVID tested on Friday, and then we're going to lock you in a hotel until Tuesday, because if Brenda Blethyn gets COVID, you're in trouble, son.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not really important at all.
I knew how important I was when I got there.
Exactly.
So yeah, but she put me in Vera. So, but it's that moment where I always say to people, when someone asks you to do something, just say yes.
Yeah.
You never know where it's going to take you, who you're going to meet, the serendipity, the sliding doors stuff. It's just fantastic. So yeah, going back to the things that I'm doing, the challenges, I set myself a challenge of reading the top 100 books when I was a boy. I ended up cheating and using audio books. That's how I got into podcasting, because I started listening to them rather than.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do stuff. So the latest challenge is writing a book about volunteering 101 times. And of course, COVID put pay to a little bit of that. But I can do volunteering online, but I've been cut out of cars. I've picked up litter on the beach. I've cut down trees. Worked for various charities, ran the Great Enough Run, probably ran alongside you.
Yeah.
I fought in a ring. I did my first boxing bout a couple of years ago.
Those pictures of you boxing are sensational. They're absolutely great. That must be really, brilliant.
I'm one of these people who, if you get into something, you just go all in. I need all the gear, Tony. I need all the best.
Yeah.
Training. I was training 3 or 4 times a day. I was all in. My diet. I just was like, I was like that.
Yeah. Well, I've just interviewed a leading magician. She's probably the world's top female magician, in fact, as well, Las Vegas and various things. And she was actually breaking down how she actually built up from a street performer to a Las Vegas magician, the cruise ships and everything. And she said it is all about focus and going all in for the, once you decide to do it, you visualize what's the best you can be at doing it, and you take all those little steps kind of thing to actually do it. And that's what you've done with all of these challenges, isn't it? I mean, none of them, to most people, just one of them would be enough, but yours are absolutely fantastic. Which of them did you enjoy the most, and which of them will you enjoy the most in 2021?
Well, I remember that I did like wrapping Christmas presents in a shopping mall. I loved that because you had guys coming up literally 2 days before Christmas saying, "I've got my last this perfume, mate. Any chance of wrapping it for us?" I'll tell you a little secret. I've got no idea what I'm doing. Someone else asked me if I'd wrap for him. So I've got all this paper. I went, like, which colour is good for your lass? Like, oh, she loves gold. I went, right, okay, pick your bow. I went, give us 5 minutes, come back. So I'd wrap all these presents, and then they'd put a $5 in the pot or something. So that was dead funny because all these guys were just panicking. That was fun. The worst one, I'll tell you the worst one. A friend of mine, we went to a children's charity, and when police pick up a child, maybe by the side of the road or there's been an accident or they're on their own, they had these little dollies, little knitted dollies. Yeah. And of course, nowadays they need like fire safety tags.
Of course, yeah.
So all these lovely ladies in the sheltered accommodations or the Housing Plus schemes have been knitting all these dollies. But of course, I had to sit with this big, massive pile of dollies and tie on a tag around the neck of each one of the others. Just like, why have I done this to myself?
Brilliant! Oh, great stuff! Great. And what have you set yourself for 2021 that is going to be tough to do, but you're going to enjoy doing it?
It's a really good one. I really want to jump out of a plane.
Really?
So my old man was in the Territorial Army as a paratrooper, and as a boy, I used to love wearing his red beret and looking through his logbook of all his jumps, and I'd take it into school and stuff, So I really do think I've got to jump out of a plane, I really do. But I'm also really mindful of like my age as well. But I don't think it's a hindrance. Like, my mother will say, "Ian, do you not think you should calm yourself down now?" I'm like, no, why? So maybe more mountains, more high mountains and triathlons, I think, could be the next.
That's fine. I mean, I think people have got it all mixed up, really. I think when people say to me, "Well, you're 68," or I like to say I'm 108, so I get compliments. But it's 68. Why shouldn't you just slow down? And I think, well, no, actually, you should be going as quick as you very well can, because you've got a lot of minutes that you want to get the most out of, haven't you?
Are you going to retire, Tony?
No, absolutely. And in actual fact, I don't know. That's the one thing I think that goes right through the Happypreneur book, is that any of my friends that are business owners, including the big ones like Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who's worth 19 billion with Ineos, himself, one of the richest people in the world, I haven't come across one that's ever retired,
Right, okay.
Because by the time they get into what is retirement age, they're only doing things that they actually enjoy doing. Does that make sense? So, and they also, and the serious point linking to you, Ian, I think, is the fact that would be your advice to, we talked about the stress and the corporate burnout and various things. The UK and the US, one of the reasons that they're 19th and 20th in the world for happiness, is because of the corporate, the business and making money becomes the driver in life. What would be your advice, in terms of you avoiding where you were 5-6 years ago in terms of burnout? Do these challenges form a part of kind of you avoiding the darker side?
I've always needed to train. I've always needed to run. I know, you know, we're kindred spirits in that way.
Yeah.
When I run, I file the day off. I need to run. If I don't run, I start to feel like get a bit twitchy.
Absolutely.
So exercise for me, and that might be having a game of chess for you. That might be taking a swim, taking a walk with the grandchildren, and whatever it might be for anyone who's listening right now. It doesn't have to be, you know, as physical. But a lot of people might say, I know, Ian, but I don't feel like I can do this. It's not for me. I might be a bit overweight. It's been years since I've went for a walk or whatever. And what I say is to people, like, don't think about running a marathon. Don't think about running 10K. Don't think about running 2 miles. The objective and the goal is to put your shoes on.
Yeah.
The objective when you wake up in the morning is put your running shoes on, or your walking shoes, and your clothes. Yeah. And the next objective is to get to the door. I guarantee you, if you're standing there and you're running and the door's open, you'll walk out of it. And then whatever happens after that is whatever you're capable of that day.
Yeah.
And just do it. Just start that way. And that, I don't mean to sound elitist or whatever. Oh, it's all right for you to do it. It's anyone can do it, you know, and start and go for a walk, anything. So for me, it was always about doing that, which kept me healthy, you know, but also the volunteering side is, I'm a vice chair of governors. I have been for 10 years. I've sat at my local housing association as a non-exec for 8 years, on the board of a trustee, as on the board of a charity. Those things really fill my cup, you know. Like going into the school and the children saying, you know, Ian, they don't even call us Mr. Farrar now. Ian, and they come round, they give us a big hug and like, distance. You know, it's just lovely, you know, and being able to talk, I just soak it all up with that innocence of nothing's a bother. The world's fine. I'm smiling. I wanted to run around. So, you know, be around people, because if you give a lot as a coach or a leader, who fills our cups, you know, and at the end of the day, when we get home, we need a little somebody. So, you know, you touched upon it before, mentorship, really good. I've spent 2020 in therapy with a couple of counselors, actually. Starting to understand me as a person again. Who's Ian? You know, not other than the husband, the father, the leader. Who am I? You know, and talking through stuff. That was fantastic. That was absolutely fantastic, you know. Really starting to delve into who I am. And he took care of me, really. I didn't want to get to the point where I burn out again.
No, absolutely. Well, I mean, it's incredibly important, isn't it? And what would you say to people that, so you've been helping the excluded and various things, but I want to be really positive about what people can do. But what would you say to people about that are, and I've seen it before in my friends and various things, that just getting to that point that you said it took 7 months to heal. And how do they start the healing process, Ian? What would you suggest to somebody that's actually saying, well, you know, I can't be as positive as that Tony Robinson guy is saying that I should be at the moment, you know, because I just feel drained, and, you know, and as you said, I find it really difficult to do any exercise at all at the moment because of this and this. Would it be to actually get a counsellor? Would it be to make a phone call to somebody? What would be the starting off process that you would recommend of the healing process to people out there?
I think it just take a little bit of stock for yourself, you know. Quite often the answers are within, you know. We'll look at other people, we'll search all over, and you've seen them yourself, you know, guys who might save up and buy a Range Rover because they're trying to feel whatever, and they drive it for a month and get bored. You know, quite often the answers within, and I'd been driving the daft cars around trying to, you know, solve an issue. But really it was just taking stock, bit of meditation, bit of downtime, and just thinking, you know, what is going on? Like what am I enjoying? What am I not enjoying? And to be honest, you probably heard, you know, you're the average of the 5 people you hang with. I needed to change who was around me, right? Because
that's good. Yeah,
you know, and I didn't need that. And especially in the boardroom, you know, that's why I stepped away from one position, because one of the people wasn't for me. And I like to go with a smile. I love to have fun. You know, we pull our jeans on one leg at a time. We aren't, The Queen's the same. They're just the people, and
Yeah,
I just want to really have fun, but professional.
yeah,
So it really started within. The answer was within, and then it needn't have to be a professional counsellor. It could just be anyone, a little confidant. You're having a pint at the weekend. As I said, the pint for me at the weekend was just verbalising a lot of the things that I was going to do.
yeah,
And the reason why I'd started seeing a couple of coaches, therapists this last year was just to help verbalise that, but in a more professional, structured way, rather than over a pint. But over a pint's great as well.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, I think one of the things is that a number of people have said it about being kind to yourself, kind of thing, and that is definitely part of it. It doesn't matter where it's going to be different. We're never prescriptive, you or I, or many people I know. We're never prescriptive and say to somebody, you should do this. But I think it is about you actually finding something that does actually work for you, isn't it? But actually be willing to try a number of things, and you can actually. It's one of the reasons why we are all social animals at the end of the day. And you must have mentioned on a number of occasions about the fact that what actually brings us down is the same thing that can bring us up. And so if we can find the people that can actually bring us up, that can make us laugh and we like spending time with, that can be as good as anything else. But sometimes you're actually going to say, like I had to do, resign from companies that I had 100% shareholding of, that I'd founded, because I wasn't enjoying working with the people, and it was really bringing me down. And that's why I went for my year away. So that's great.
Friday, the 8th of January, 2021. Follow the hashtag MicroBizMatters.